Hi there, this is Empty Pocket Speech. I am Joshua Rash, an SLP. Today we are going to be talking about 25 different speech and language strategies that you as parents can do at home with your kids. Let's get started. The first strategy I'd like to talk about today is called self-talk. Now, this isn't telling you to go around your house mumbling to yourself about what you're doing, but rather self-talk is a term that we use to describe talking and describing what you're doing as you're doing it. The idea is that by doing this, you can give your child a really great example of what language should sound like. You're using words, you're using language, and it doesn't really take much extra effort because you can just use it to describe anything that you're doing normally. If you're doing the dishes, you can describe what you are doing. With the example of washing the dishes, if your child is nearby, you would say, I am washing the dishes. I am scrubbing these clean. The second strategy is parallel talk. When self-talk is describing your own self and your own actions, parallel talk is when you're describing the actions of another, especially in this case, your child. So if you're playing with your child and your child starts moving the truck, you would say, look, you are moving the truck. You're describing what they are doing. Now repetition. Repetition is so very important for the learning mind. As we develop, being exposed over and over and over to the same things, the same words, the same use of language, is a really great way to learn and become familiar with how things go. So using the same words, repeating them, can be a great way to teach your kid and show them how to make certain sounds or how to use certain words. We do that also when we learn about things. If you look at a dog, you don't just say dog once. You're going to point to different dogs and you're going to say, look, that's a dog, and this is a dog, and this is a dog. What is this? It's a dog. You're going to repeat. Repetition is a way that we can hammer home these ideas, these concepts, and these words so that kids start to understand what they truly mean. Modeling is an excellent strategy where you tell your child what you want them to say. You can use this for individual sounds, or you can use this for requests, such as, may I please? You add that, you show them, this is what I expect to hear. Imitation is an awesome strategy to use. Similar to modeling, what it is you have your child copy what you are doing or what you are saying. So make it clear to them. Most children love to imitate. So it can be very annoying. So in this case, use this strategy to your advantage. Have them practice copying you, doing things that you want them to do. So these are positive, good behaviors, such as great productions of sounds, or great ways to be polite or show kindness or to be responsible. So practice having them copy and imitate these things. When you're teaching or working with your kids, make sure to use visuals. Show them objects or pictures of things. Having both an auditory, that listening component, and that visual component is really, really important for these kids for learning. Sign language is an amazing visual tool that you can use to support kids with language. Some kids, especially those who are nonverbal, may really benefit from learning how to sign different words or communication. This can be very important, especially for those who have a hard time expressing that they are hungry or need to use the restroom, things like that. So, I encourage you, if you know sign language, use it. If you don't, there are some amazing videos on YouTube that can teach you just very simple signs that you can teach your child and work with them on. Now, a lot of our communication develops because of need. We need something or we want something, and therefore we learn how to say it and how to communicate it. This is very common. So with children, they advance because they need something. They realize that by saying just one or two words, they're not able to get what they want as fast as if they say it in a more complete sentence. No matter what your child is working on, we want to increase opportunities for them to practice it. So if it is a speech sound that they're working on, let's say an S, we would want to give them a lot of opportunities to practice saying or hearing that S sound. So one way to do that is by playing a game that we would anticipate a lot of S's to happen in. Simon Says is a great example of one, where every turn that child is hearing Simon Says. Another basic strategy is to simplify things. Some of our kids have a hard time understanding a lot of words that are put together or complex concepts. So what we want to do is we want to kind of break those down as much as possible. If your child is having a hard time following 3-step directions, try to shorten it down. Have them do 1-step direction, and then after they've done that, check in with you to do another. So instead of giving them a lot of things to do all at once, try breaking it down or giving them supports like a visual reminder or a chart, something that they can use to help them along that process. Another way to simplify is to just use shorter sentences or phrases when we talk with our kids. If they don't seem to be understanding, shorten what you're saying. Make it a little easier for them to understand. Sometimes dumbing down our speech a little bit can also help. Use words that are more simple, words that are more basic, ones that they know. We don't ever want to talk down to a child, but at the same point we want to meet them where they are. Another strategy is to add to your child's language. So if your child is just putting words together really for the first time or experimenting with phrases and sentences, add an extra word. Make that sentence a little bit longer, make it a little bit more complex so that they can hear what a more complicated, more advanced language model would be. This isn't to correct, but just as you hear them talking, add to it. Show them that like, hey, I hear what you're saying, but we can also make it a little bit longer. This is another word that would work in this sentence that you were trying to make. One of the ways that we want to look at is giving these kids only one thing at a time. So if you're going to choose to use this strategy, if they are asking for something or wanting something, say it's French fries or marbles or crayons, try giving them only one at a time to try to get them to ask for more. Use that as an opportunity to get them to use more language. Make sure that you are giving your child choices. This can be anything from what you're having for lunch, to what game you'd like to play, to what story that's going to be read. Give them those opportunities to have a preference and to express it to you. Another way to help your child use more language is to intentionally sabotage them. You essentially artificially create a need. Now, I know that sounds mean, but what we want to do is we want to set up activities or set something up so that your child is going to need your help in order to complete it. This can be a very hard exercise or puzzle or game or activity or craft. Anything where your child will most likely on their own not be able to do it without your help. Keep things out of reach. So one, we want to do that for kids for safety, but if there is something that they want, say their favorite toy, and it's always in reach, they're not going to have to ask you for it because they can just go and get it themselves. You can take that toy or whatever it is that you are choosing to use as your object and put it out of reach. By putting it out of reach, your child then will have to come to you and ask. Another strategy is to pretend to forget. Be forgetful. Sometimes these kids, they are really paying attention to things, and if you pretend to forget it, they may be very quick to try to correct you, and that's not a bad thing. Let them speak and let them provide a voice and even remind you of something, because that gives them an opportunity to feel needed, feel like they need to speak up. Another strategy is to pretend to forget. Be forgetful. Pretend that you have forgotten something so that your child feels like they need to remember. Another strategy is to be silly. It's okay to act silly and to do things that are unexpected to get their attention. Sing with your kids. Songs are absolutely rich with language, and kids can really learn language and speech really well by singing along to things. So sing with them. Even if you don't have a great voice, your kids will learn better for it. Follow your child's lead. If your child is really interested in something, go ahead and move into that. Ask them questions about that. Encourage them to learn more and have conversations and share what they are interested in with you. Always look to explore and learn about new things. If you have an opportunity to go on a field trip or to research something new that your kid might be interested in or might not be, may have never heard of it before, explore that with them. Talk about it. Have a routine. Using verbal routines, the same words day in and day out, can be a great way to get your kid used to hearing the same words and being able to rely on that language from one day to the next. Another strategy is to wait. Give time for your kids to respond. It's very easy to get caught up in the rush and the hustle and the bustle of life, but when it comes to your kids and their learning, please make sure to wait. Give them a few extra seconds to respond, to either think about what you've directed them to do or think of how they're going to ask you a question. Give them that time and that space. I want you to talk. I want you to talk a lot. Make lots of comments. Statements for kids are often better than questions. By making statements, you are showing them how a normal sentence is constructed, how normal sentences and language sound. When you do ask your kids questions, ask them open-ended questions. So ask them WH questions like where, when, why, what, who. Ask them those kinds of questions so that they're not stuck answering with a yes or a no. Try to give them the opportunity to answer in longer sentences and have really good answers. Repeat back what kids say. So if your child says something, reinforce that by repeating it. If your kid doesn't say it correctly, repeat it back and add that extra stress, add that little correction onto it so that your kid can hear how it should sound. Another strategy to use is to pace your words and your sentences. Clap along with your child as you talk to count out the syllables. Have them tap or clap or bounce their head or bob or do something to kind of feel that rhythm. You can also add more words by doing this. If you say a sentence and you're having your child clap, to continue clapping, they have to add more words to what you were saying. Alright, so there you have it. 25 different speech and language strategies that you as parents can work on at home with your children. If you found this video helpful, please consider liking and subscribing. Comment down below what you find to be the best strategy for working with your kids and anything else that may not have been covered in this video. Please feel free to also check out my other episodes on specific speech and language things that you can work on at home. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye.